gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this pleasant function organized this morning to receive, welcome Dr. Dixit to the family of SIES as the director of the SIES School of Business Studies. Inasmuch as we welcome her to hold the mantle of this institution and guide it along the way, it's equally a pleasant day that we not only express our appreciation and gratitude for the services that have been rendered during the most difficult period of this business school of ours by people who are also part of their presence here today. Dr. A.K. Sengupta has been the mentor, the guide, the philosopher for several of you along the course when he was the director of this institute. He was first the joint director, then the director, and then I think our requirement of him did not make him go out of this campus, and he has been with us. So whenever there is a vacuum in leadership, we look up to no one other than Dr. Sengupta to fill the slot and provide continuity to the work that we are doing. It is to his credit that during the most challenging period, post the separation of Dr. Bigyan Verma from this institution, that he accepted leading these institutions for the time being till we get a successor in place. Not only that, to mentor both the students and the teachers alike of these institutions, in addition to his principal responsibilities as the director of the SIES School of Learning and Leadership Development. So much of things were thrust onto his head during this period, and words of appreciation and thanks are too little for the work and the services that he had rendered during this period. Equally so, for the services that we had rendered that we have formally acknowledged today, we have Dr. Nitin Vazirani. I think the passion for that man is only teaching, and of course loaded with HR and OB studies that are part of his interest. But then the compulsive nature of an institution thrust on him administrative responsibilities, which he accepted with the delight, at least on his face for us, if not in his mind. And again, he held charge as the in charge of the SIES School of Business Studies till such time as she has come in to take over that responsibility. Today, as she takes charge, Dr. Sengupta will demit those responsibilities relating to these two institutions. But he is a born mentor. He will continue to mentor people. Whosoever comes his way, it need not be a community of people defined and given to him. But he will exhaust all his energies. The residual energies diminish with age. It hasn't, as said, age has not staled him nor weathered his memories. So I'm sure, as he gives direction to the most critical function of this society of training and retraining the human resources of this society, to equip them, to update them, and to make them fit enough and equal to the task of the demanding expectations of the student community and the changing aspirations of the students whose care is entrusted to us during these formative learning years. Equally so, today he will have a bigger smile because he will go back to the position that he has enjoyed. It's almost 25 years now, closer to that he has spent with this institution. And I think we'll continue to enjoy working with you, working along with you and with all of you to take these institutions to the rightful place amongst the committee of business schools in the country and even beyond. Old order changeth, yielding place to new. That's the process of life, that's the osmosis of life. But what is pleasant today is old order has not changed. It has only changed its responsibilities, and yet it has yielded place for the new. So the axiom, the well-known proverb, today has a new definition that we still can have people brought in as we continue the journey in a different role. Whenever a new talent comes into an institution, it's like a fresh whip of fresh air in the environment and a cool breeze on a warm, sunny day. And I'm sure she will bring sunshine to this institution and pleasure, warmth, and solid relationship intersect between all the stakeholders of these institutions. Separation is a wound no one can heal, whereas remembrance is a gift no one can steal. That is the inherent right of human beings. And today we are indeed fortunate that there is no need to bemoan a separation because all are here intact. But the remembrance that I have done is for these two gentlemen who have served the institution during this period, and an advance remembrance for her for the footprint that she will leave on the sands of this institution when that day comes when she will demit office on superannuation and extension thereof if it is there. I am not foreclosing any options for her, so it's an advance this thing also for you. I do not propose limiting my address this morning just to the institutional ritual of welcome, thanksgiving, and I want to go far beyond that to lay the roadmap for these two schools of ours, the business schools of ours, strategize both for the near term, the immediate terms, the near term and the long term for these institutions, and the growth and development of these institutions in the years ahead, all structured with a single objective, that these institutions become the preferred destination of choice for the student community, for whosoever is interested in learning the art and science of business and managing enterprises. Therefore, I thought that I should go beyond the formal function that we have, which is limited to a very small function. Much beyond that, what is the road ahead for these institutions? There are about 18,000 business schools across the 7 continents in the world. And India is home to nearly 1/3 of them. These days she has several credits. Some of them are dubious, some of them are most welcome. But in terms of size and population, she seems to be racing far ahead of the rest of the world. And that is why even the number of business schools that she has 6,000 business schools. The challenge before all of us is, how do we distinguish ourselves, remain distinct in that large universe of schools in whose midst we too are there, far from the madding crowd, and yet be within it, said Robert Frost. So, however maddening the crowd be, you can establish your own identity. It's not that we want to be a pole star in the Milky Way, but the galaxy of luminous shining stars, plenty of them, whom we experience every night as the nightfall comes. We would certainly like to be one amongst the several stars that adorn the sky at night and bring in a sense of calm and peace to all of us. Is it so easy that we can become one among those 27 stars, which is what the constellation says, are bright and luminous, and they have therefore become the birth stars for all of us? Can we become one like that? It's not as easy as we can dream and fantasize. That requires us to substantially enhance the quality of the deliverance and the conception of the business programs that we have, and far, far beyond that, to provide value to the student community, not just limited as value for the money that they pay to you for getting enrolled in these business programs. More importantly, value for the prime of their youth, that they stake with you in these formative years under your care. That's so valuable that will never come back. Time certainly does not come back for anyone in life, but formative years, those prime of youth, which we recount and reminiscence all through our lifetime, will certainly not come back except through memories. So this is a great responsibility, and once we are able to fulfill this to some degree, we can certainly be one amongst the committee of those shining stars that adorn the sky every night. That brings me to the subject of quality and excellence. Quality is the key and the defining element of all human endeavors in the 21st century in the context of changing social realities. Quality now has become an obsession. Quality now has become a way of life. And as Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is an act and not an habit. Education is a social responsibility. Educational institutions are bound to adopt the highest of quality standards in their academic delivery programs. Not only limited to that, but they should also disseminate those standards of quality that they enjoy across the spectrum for the rest of the stakeholders in the society. Quality, to most of us, is attitude-centric. But there is a school of thought that it is resource-specific. And it's partially true, not always true. Experience and research has, over the years, demonstrated convincingly quality and the outcome of quality of excellence both are directly an outcome of your attitude to life. And therefore the mind is centric and crucial to the evolution of the highest standards of human behavior and actions that you and I label as one of the best, and that gets the tag of quality. So the moment we are able to reach those goals of quality, to whatever extent, you can never reach the pinnacle, we can be rest assured that we can be counted as one of the luminous stars that this sky adorns, and therefore one amongst the 6,000 business schools that this country has got. Last time I came to address all of you was on the 11th of May 2016. More than 8 years have rolled by since I could come over to the institution and address all of you. Much has flown down the Ganges during this period. And if some of you were present could recollect, I came here when you received the ACBSB certification. That was the first international accreditation that came to you in the 20th year of the institutional journey of the SIES College of Management Studies. And I still vividly remember what I spoke on that day. I did mention that this is the beginning of a journey of reaching a destination which gives a tag of quality in whatever services and functions that we do. It's just the beginning, is the baby step that has come. But then I did recognize the fact that time that there are hardly very few institutions with ACBSB certification in India in 2016. Not that the things have undergone a change today. There are hardly about 18 institutions amongst the 6,000 who claim to have this recognition. That brings us to a real thought. Is it so competitive, so tough, that not all institutions will not even aspire or get it? Or the better way to look at it is that the student community still does not recognize these as the key elements of making the choice for staking their career. So therefore, at that time itself I said that if you want to be an institution which has all the credentials of an ultimate destination for knowledge seekers, the best is you should be bedecked with all those visible symbols of quality, both national and international. There was a misconception that both NAC and NBA are not required for business schools or even schools of technology. But when the formal notification came, covering all these institutions for both NAC and NBA, probably we were not equally prepared for the first cycle assessment that came very quickly after we filed our SSR. Small wonder, we missed that good ranking, good, not the best ranking, of A by a whisker. It was only a whisker that we missed it. That time itself I said, a ranking is always good. Bettering the ranking is of paramount necessity. And I still remember when I said, if I were to, in my own perception, with all that experience that I had gathered only listening to people, because I've never taught anyone, that if I ever to rate the international standards of quality, AACSP will be the gold standard. This ACBSP will be the silver standard, and IACBE will be the bronze standard. So you haven't reached the pinnacle even then in 2016. You are halfway through a journey. And therefore I said in the decade ahead, from 2016 to 2026, this institution should go not only, of course, for CSB, AMBA, EQS and SAQS, leaving nothing in the international certification for any other institution than to have that BETAC, your institution. It is unfortunate that not only we missed that minimum ranking of A for the College of Management Studies. We know our perception was very good. We know our work was good. But then we could not demonstrate to the regulators that we are indeed good. And the fact that none of these milestones that I had set in the year 2016 have been achieved puts us back on the defensive. And a B+ grade dented the perception of the student community. Because only those who came into the institution experienced the goodness of the institutions. Those who relied upon symbols like these quality symbols remained outside, carrying the same perception that there are better schools around in this city and even beyond. These have been extremely difficult times for the SIES College of Management Studies and the School of Business Studies, which is born out of a stupid regulation of AICTE just to divide into two institutions and was absolutely not warranted. But be that aside, we are all subject to the laws of the state, and therefore the School of Business Studies also came, and all non-affiliated institution, aid is not there, would go into, AICTE approved institutions will go into the School of Business Studies. Not all is lost. The second cycle assessment of NAC is just on the anvil. In just about a week's time from now, you will have the peer team experts coming to you, not only to just review your facilities or your practices. The weightage that NAC gives could be only 30% for peer team inspection and review. But I want to tell you, it can alter the 70% that the SSR carries. Because seeing is believing. And when people of experience and credentials come and part of the experts team, the weight comes on to this rather than to that 70% weightage which goes over there. So what is required of you is to mobilize all your resources, marshal all the good facets of your institution, highlight all the strengths of the institution. Of course, not oblivious to the fact that there are weaknesses around in any system, equally so of your system too. But if you go on sermonizing on your weaknesses, all the good that you have will be lost. In contrast, and they will carry a feeling that there is enough to be done in these institutions. So when you put your best foot forward, I am absolutely certain that what happened in the past will never happen. And the proof is the SIES Graduate School of Technology. Both were on the same plank. And at the same time, the results came. And both surprisingly got the same score. And both merited far more than what was given. And over these years, when the second cycle came for GST, they could go to the management desired level of A+, quickly followed by NBA accreditation and the autonomy that came to them. Of the institutions of higher learning with mass enrollment that we have, SIESCOMS and SIES are the only institutions which are not autonomous under the UGC Act. They still have a parentage of an university which will guide and dictate not only its syllabus but also its various actions. And as far as the School of Business Studies is concerned, relative autonomy is there, but still subject to AICTE regulations. So once you seize this opportunity now and correct all those distortions of the first cycle and come out with flying colors, I don't want to dream as to what can come, but I certainly believe that you deserve A+, like what she had. Present yourself with conviction, with determination, then all the good will follow. Accreditation will take no time. Autonomy will follow suit. And when you get affiliated to the SIES deemed to be university, which is on the cards, you will be one of the most valuable assets of that university. So prepare yourselves for that position for both the schools. And who knows, as we travel along, we may have one single unified school, one residential school, one day scholar school. That could be the only distinction that can have. Separating businesses and business studies on the basis of meaningless parameters can be dissolved with more flexibility, autonomy, and the university tag that can come onto us. So this is in store for all of you, for leaving no stone unturned, straining every sinew of yours in the coming week as you reach those first standards of being a quality institution. We come across myriads of people in our life journey. Most of them flash through our eyes and sink into the oblivion. There are few who linger around for some time and still vanish into the thin. There are very, very few who not only linger around your eyesight, they penetrate your iris, which is the eyelids, go down and find a permanent place in your hearts and minds. They are the people that the world remembers. The world does not remember people because they had so many titles behind their name. They were the most moneyed on the earth. They will remember for those people who had put their remembrance into the hearts and minds of people, and that can only come when you serve. And when your service is above self, that will be the glory of the service that we rendered. Wherever we render, in our institutions, in our family life, in our societal influences that we have, that is the one that will take you to that position of remembrance of people. That again brings me to the philosophy of life. All of us strive for one thing in life, without exception, that we want a name for ourselves. I don't know how much is there in the name, but the truth is, there is everything in a name. But the beauty of life is, when you have the first advent onto this earth, you come crying. Because after having remained in the confines of the dark womb of your mother, in the watery position of the womb, when you first come out, the rays of the sun or the light of the universe is too hot, that makes you cry. Therefore, a child comes onto the earth crying. And when you leave this earth after fulfillment of your life journey, not that you can decide that, you make others cry. Most of the time, the near and the dear ones, the family will cry. Because you meant something for them, even if you were a ruffian, even if you were a thug. Still, you did the thievery and supported them and took care of them. But if you make the society at large cry and feel that a void has been created by your separation, that is the only indicator that you lived your life very well. So, in the process of counting the pallbearers at the sunset of our life, we can be damn sure, might be we will not know, but the world will know that this man lived very well. When breath is snuffed out of your life, all that name goes away. Those lovely names that the parents give to you, with great affection, with meaning being adduced to it, with the family's identity being put over there, that remains with you for the rest of your life. And that remains with you as the unique identification. All in your Aadhaar card, your PAN card, and all those domestic documentations which provide title to the assets that you acquire in life. But then when you come to youthhood and slightly come of age, when the discriminatory element comes to your thinking, there are a few who think, my parents are given such a long name, and I have for the Andhrites and the Tamilians, and more than these two are the Keralites, because they start with the home name, then the parents' name, then some other name, and then your name. Then the child, as he comes of age, he thinks that this too long, I don't want to carry. And call it by whatever name, brevity, or more appealing, my name rings for us. And in a celluloid world, it rings better if I have some catchy names, because these days children are named with alphabets being juxtaposed, and then they give an explanation from the scripture that it means this. God alone knows whether it means that or not. And then when you come of age, when you drop that name, there are several who have a misconception, a misbelief, a andha vishwas, that numerology and shifting alphabets can guarantee success for you. If it is so easy as changing names, I will be changing right now rather than addressing you. And all of you will do it several times in your life journey because you believe that will lead you to the path of success. It's not that easy. And then, if you do not do well in life, the evil in you comes to light. The jackal in you is suppressed. The eyed in you shines brightly. Then the world has name calling. And it is unfortunate that this name calling survives you. Because that people will remember easily than your name. Because that's the one that they gave it to you for your wickedness, for all the destruction to human values that you did during your lifetime. The least that we can aspire is not to make the society call names. And then there are names that you acquire during your professional career, like professor. Academics is professor, doctor. And if you belong to the ranks, it is colonel, lieutenant colonel, major, major general, lieutenant general, general, field marshal. And this also varies from the various services that we have. And there are certain other names which are element, which are given to us from what we practice. But there's only one name, only one, that outlives you, that survives your lifetime, that remains with humanity beyond your times. That is the name that you acquire for all the good that you do to the society. It is 76 years since the father of the nation had moved from the seen to unseen. Even if today the air whistles Mahatma, there is only one Mahatma, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Each one of us aspire to get that name for ourselves. Even when breath is taken out of you, the very next moment, your own people who had given you that name will not call you by that name. The words that you will normally hear is, move the body, cloth the body, wash the body, put it down to the coffin, cremate the body. So this is all that you will have at the end of your life journey if you do not believe in earning a name which will outlive your times. Yasmin jivati jivanti dina mitra bandavaha parasparam jivitam tasmai atmartho kona jivati. Who does not live for himself? Everybody lives for himself. I live for myself. You all live for yourself. Because that's one of the reasons, the objects of our birth. But he alone lives. In that sense of the term, not the physical living, who lives for others. And then the scriptures are so generous that it says you can live for your family, you can live for your friends, you can live for your relatives. And then it says you can live for the society at large. If all these responsibilities are fulfilled, then take care of the world. The object of birth, Adi Shankara says, Jantunam Narajanmam Durlabam. To be born as a human being is the rarest on the earth. Such a rarity all of us have been endowed with. If you cannot make capital of this life that has come onto us, Vyartham is the word that he uses later in Viveka Chudamani, that you would have wasted your life. And what is that standard of name that we all can gather in the profession to which we all belong to? And I should tell you, of all the professions, the fields that we are in, the one where you can carry an everlasting name, fastest, quickest and best is education. Every other field you have to strain to get that identity that will outlive you. Countless numbers of movers and shakers, not only of the city, of the nation, or even of the globe, would have turned out of our hands. We would not even know that such children had studied under us. And one fine morning when he comes and says, prostrates before you and says, you are my teacher. What I am today is all because of you. In the formative years of mine, you taught me the 3 R's. You instilled in me those values that stood me in good stead, that I can rule the world today. So even beyond the status that the world gives to him, he gives you the highest status. So the message is simple, that we should do our very best. Of course for ourselves professionally, but more so for the student community. If ever you look at the students as also your children, if ever your son or daughter were to be part of that crowd of students who are part of your class, you know you double your responsibilities, because your child will also waste his time looking at a lecture that gives no value, not only to them, to all of them. So the best of your days is to give the very best to the student community. And once you do that, be assured that you will carry a name not only for yourself, then we will carry also a name. That fellow was a teacher of my school. We will take pride in adding suffixes to our name because we believe that that will wash on us. So this name has so much to do, and all that name is based on service. Service above self guarantees this good name for all of us. We live in deeds and not in years. It's not like a tree in bulk that makes a man better be. And the poet concludes by saying, we live in deeds and not in years. One may live 100 years, but may be of no value either to himself or to his family, or to the world at large. Dog and manger, neither good to himself nor to the world. They are all decrepit fossils which are tolerated only in the museums of the world. So, our life should be marked by our deeds, and the immediate calling for those deeds in our selfish interest, even though I say selfless we should be, is to put all those good deeds to work to get a better ranking when NAC is around with you. That's on the lighter side of it. Today is Janmashtami, that's how she started. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru, the teacher of teachers. Actually, the real teacher's day. World over, wherever Krishna consciousness is experienced, felt and practiced, regardless of the faith, it's not the privilege and the monopoly of only Hindus to adore Krishna. Krishna is celebrated world over by all skins, by all faiths. Is this day as the teacher's day, because he is the teacher of teachers. Of course, we look to current limelights when we say Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. Not the youngsters would have experienced him, but we have seen him. We have learned what erudition is all about. So we feel justified to have a teacher's day, which is the birth anniversary of Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. But he himself has said, don't give me the highest status of being the best teacher. The scriptures have far more than that. Lord Krishna is divinity personified, but more than this, as a teacher, he gave the gospel of life to all of us. The song of God, that's what Gita means, that he gave to us, outlines our behavior, outlines our conduct, outlines what we ought to do, what not to do in this life journey of ours. The central theme of Bhagavad Gita is contained in the last chapter. Ma Shuchaha. Do not grieve. He had so many chapters to say on those battlefields of Kurukshetra to Arjuna, which was recounted to the world by Sanjaya, giving what he said to the blind Dhritarashtra, which survived and came on to us. But in the final message he gave, only in the last chapter, in the last of the verses, Ma Shuchaha, do not grieve. So when do you not grieve? When you do everything that brings good to everyone, not only to you. You don't roughshod on the shoulders of others and reach pinnacles. You either carry them along or allow them to go ahead. So, as long as we do good acts, then as the Lord himself says, there is nothing to grieve. These days, most of you in your business schools also have special studies on Krishna's Gita for managerial effectiveness. I still remember many years before, that person passed away only this year, N. Bagul, the chairman of ICCI Limited, whose passion it was to take the managerial effectiveness of Gita to the corporate world. So I can think of coming to the end of my address this morning by again going back to what the Lord said. And it would be better if I go to the chapter that contains all the essential qualities, the second chapter. He says, Uttaret Atmanam Atmanam Na Atmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Riputatmanaha. You are your friend. You alone are your enemy. You alone can upgrade yourself. You alone can elevate yourself. And equally so, you alone can denigrate yourself. You alone can demean yourself. It's all in your hands. Millions of years later, the Greek philosopher Socrates said, it is in your hands. When he addressed the king, he said, it is in your hands whether the sparrow will be punctured to death or kept alive, which is the question that the king put to him if he were to escape death. He said, it is in your hands. It's all in our hands. We don't need anything else in life except our work, our hands, to do good things. As I come to the end of this address, this day is also a day of service. It is very unfortunate that human memories are fickle. Sometimes they are treacherous. Because a community is strong, the scriptures we remember well. But human beings, despite making a name for themselves, we are prone to losing memory of them. Today is the birth anniversary of Mother Teresa. If you want a shining example of service, where even the angels fear to tread, where you and I would despise touching a wretched person, lest we may contract some diseases that the person might have, Mother gave her love, rehabilitated them, and brought them to mainstream life. In the glory of her life, we remember today as we remember the good Lord. On such a wonderful day, the best we can resolve is to rededicate ourselves to the cause of education, the noblest of human endeavors, far nobler than even protecting lives. What is the use of protecting life that cannot enjoy life? But to empower people, education is a tuning fork that elevates people to a higher realm of thinking, that exposes them to innovative research, inquisitive thinking. Ultimately, it ennobles life, said Swami Vivekananda. Everybody says the same thing. It ennobles life. Let's all stretch ourselves and ennoble lives of the younger ones. Thank you and God bless.